I still recall his chuckle, which wasn't the kind of laugh you have over a funny joke or an inside joke. No, this was a different, frigid, cutting story. Dismissive, I was in the break room making myself a cup of stale coffee when Tyler, the founder's only son, who was also the new acting CEO, walked in. Like, although he didn't say hello, he technically owned the place. Presenting himself, he simply leaned against the counter with his arms folded and his eyes wandering, the room as if he were assessing cattle. "You're Sarah, right?" he asked. I turned around, almost bored, and forced a kind grin, saying, "Yeah, nice to meet you, Tyler. Welcome aboard." "Can you come to my office?" he asked with a sly smile, as if he was already sick of me. "Bring your laptop." "In 5 minutes." I felt the prickle, not a question, of discomfort right away, and after working at Cartwright Industries for 11 years, you became adept at spotting the warning signals of problems, and I felt sick to my stomach because of the way he spoke, so clipped and uninterested. When I entered his office 5 minutes later, he didn't even offer me a seat. He tapped his pen in a self-satisfied rhythm against the gleaming desk. He stated, "Streamlining," in the informal manner of someone promoting a lunch special. "We need lean, agile teams. And you're not the right person to lead. Important." And then he made that piercing, jeering noise once more, as if he was still in shock that he had to defend himself. The environment briefly became blurry, but it wasn't necessary because I had already developed the client. Major accounts were brought in by the relations department from the beginning, when the business was still struggling to survive. A float stayed up later than I wanted to for 2 company reorganizations, 3 mergers, and many restless nights. I wanted to scream and argue, but instead I smiled calmly and politely. "Good luck, Tyler," I remarked with a purposeful smile, and I packed up my desk quietly, although I didn't intend it the way he believed. From their workstations, my co-workers observed, wide-eyed and muttering behind their hands, some of them appearing to wish I didn't blame them in situations like this because I wanted to protest, but nobody moved. Being inconspicuous is often essential for survival, as I demonstrated when I carried the cardboard box. Memories of late nights and impossibly tight deadlines came flooding back to me in my car. Personal sacrifices. I missed my own divorce court, birthdays, and anniversaries because the corporation needed me. And suddenly, all of that devotion was boiled down to a 5-minute chat and Anasty chuckle, but oddly, I didn't feel angry just yet. Instead, I felt something different. Calm assurance that Tyler had just committed a mistake that he couldn't reverse because he didn't even know what he had done, bothered to discover that I was the cornerstone supporting the company's largest division. Not just a middle manager. We were just weeks away from concluding a multi-million-dollar expansion with our investor connection, agreement with Orland Ventures, which depended only on the confidence I had established with their partners over the course of. After much discussion, the preliminary agreement I had contained a condition, personally demanded any significant changes to key individuals during a heated late-night discussion with their head counsel, would necessitate an urgent renegotiation or the complete avoidance of the transaction. And now, with one haughty, Tyler made a choice and laughed, triggering that clause without realizing it at the time. My phone rang, and it was Lauren. I was sitting in my car, watching the city lights fade into gentle stripes outside the glass. "Is it true, Sarah?" said one of my longtime mentors, a junior associate. Felt talking louder would make it worse, I said into the phone. "It's true." And I just said, "I'm out." There was a pause, and then a trembling voice said, "Orland trusted you only because of you? Us." I closed my eyes. I know there will be a longer gap this time. What will occur right now? I opened my eyes, staring into the quiet, indifferent night. They're going to learn what happens when you take the incorrect component out of the foundation, I suppose, I answered slowly. As I hung up, Lauren didn't say anything that she didn't have to, which was a tiny part of me, felt a strange, bittersweet satisfaction that it was finally finished after being so exhausted for so long. Or, for the time being at least, my portion of it, as Tyler's first day in charge wasn't going to be known for his fearless leadership or his clear-cut vision. Rather, it would be known for something quite different. And when the board expected answers tomorrow, the investors called. He would understand how crucial I had been, even though I didn't get much sleep that night and didn't sleep at all. Simply lay there gazing up at the ceiling, experiencing the weird buzzing tension that comes just before by 7 a.m. The storm broke out, and I was sitting at my kitchen table, my coffee getting cold. I was distractedly reading through my phone's news notifications in front of me, but I didn't see any warning signs yet, so I believed deep down that they would fix it before it got worse. But at 8:13 a.m., my phone buzzed once again. Lauren sent out a message saying that investors were in a panic. Tyler has been in a conference room with legal since 7:30, and I smiled slightly as I felt the first genuine swell of contentment since I could imagine it when he fired me. Tyler was pacing the glass conference room in an attempt to bluff his way through a situation that he wasn't even completely aware of. Comprehend law, looking through contracts to locate the phrase I had insisted on looking at in order to increase horror. At 8:45 a.m., the day had just begun when I sipped my cold coffee. This time, Matt, an old friend in the finance industry, sent another message. Board members are already phoning in because Department Matt Sarah is losing it. They inquired about the impact of the dismissal on the Orland sale after hearing about it yesterday, so I leaned back in my, unfortunately, things were moving even more quickly than I had anticipated. You see, Orland Ventures wasn't simply any investor. They were the type of organization that opened doors for businesses like Cartwright Industries solely by virtue of their name. And Tyler's conceit had not only ruined a contract, but also damaged their confidence. At 9:05 a.m., the fallout started. Insincere, Lauren messaged investors on the call once again, and Tyler is currently. When Mr. Cartwright abruptly entered, I sat up straight because he was stammering. For the past year, Cartwright Tyler's father has been traveling between the company's locations throughout the world in semi-retired status. He hadn't intended to be in the building this morning, so he's letting Tyler earn his stripes. The fact that Lauren sent a final message at 9:21 a.m. saying that things were worse than I had anticipated. You won't believe what Mr. Cartwright yelled at you, Lauren. The entire office heard what you did, Tyler, and that was our deal clincher. Exhaled, deeply experiencing a mix of grim satisfaction and sadness.